And now let's just make a file right over here. Let's say variables.sol, right? So over here we are going to be writing a code. So in the first, the top header file, header syntax, just copy from here, paste from here. So what this exactly mean, I already shared with you what does this mean. This means this essentially a identifier which is which we can identify that we are using MIT license for this project. Now we have this Pegma Solidity compile that this line tend to know the compile that we're using this version of Solidity. Cool. Now let's understand what exactly are variables. So variables are certain piece of numbers, right, which you can use in a code. Now by default there are three type of variables in Solidity. Now let's just make a multi-line comment, right, and just share with you what are those, right. So there are three types. So types are of three, right. So now the first type which we have is our local variable. Now the second one which we have is our state variable. Then third one is we have is our global variable. Yeah, so we have these three variables, right. And then let's just understand what does these all mean, right. So the local variables are declared inside the function, and these are not stored on blockchain. So let's just write over here, declare inside the function and not stored on the blockchain, right. Now the state variables are essentially basically these are just the opposite of your local variables, right. And these are declared outside the let's say outside the function and stored on the blockchain, right. Blockchain or function, right, chain. Yeah, so what does this mean is essentially, and if you may fill in with functions are used inside your contract, right. So that's why we can say that these are the main logic of our app is come inside your contract. Now we have global variables. As the name suggests, these are the global variables that essentially provide the information about the blockchain, right. Let's say add over here, provide information about the blockchain, right. So we have these functions right over here, right. I think I can use tab. Yeah, I can use tab over here. So now we can add a contract over here, and let's just make a contract of variables. Now we can add multiple contracts in a project, right. If you're not familiar with that, you can add multiple contracts in a project, right. This may be like this is a contract A, this is a contract B, and this is a contract C, right. So we can add multiple contracts in a project. Now let's just add the logic of our first. We just use the variable right over here, right. So now let's just do stuff, right. So let's just make a string. Let's just make a string of which is a public, by the way, and this should contain the name of this would be name. So let's just put my name over here, and let's just make a uint public, or let's just say age that like 15, right. Now these are essentially came under the category of your state variables, right. So if you look at over here, these are declared outside the function and stored on the blockchain, right. So you can write over here that these are your state variables, right. So these are your state variables. Now let us understand what are your local variables, right. So let's just make a function. Let's just make a function, or let's just say something and let's make it public, and we're going to be adding a view over here. I will just let you know what this view means, right? And let's make a event over here of x, and this x is equals to, let's say 16 or let's say 18. Now these are essentially known as your local variables, right? Just let me just put a comment over here. These are your local variables, right? And if you look at the definition of this, as I already mentioned in the top, that the local variables are declared inside the function. Look at over here, we declared this inside the function, and these are not stored on blockchain, right? Which means that these are not stored on blockchain. I will also show you an example. What does this mean, right? And let's just move ahead with your global variables, right? So let's just add a comment over here that these are global variables, right? And let's just make a function. Let's just make a event, event of let's say time stamp, and this is equals to block, and let's say block dot timestamp. Now these are essentially the default parameters, right? These are the default parameters, or you can say anything which is provided by the language itself, right? And then we can add an address, and this is a sender. Let's just make it sender, and let's say add a message dot sender, right? So these are came into the categories of global variables, right? Because these are already defined by the language itself, and we can use that over here. Now let's just compile our contract. Just make the font big. Cool. So let's just go over here, compile the contract. It's giving an error. Just I will let you know why this error is tend to came, because we have this unused local variables. We're not using it, right? That's why it's giving us an error. And so yeah, we can also add returns over here. Well, let's just forget that for a bit of a second, right? So it's just a warning. Let's just go over here, just deploy on the virtual machine, and just deploy it over here. Cool. So over here we'll get this public which we already have. Let's say we have this age, right? We have this name, we have this your something which we have as function. Now let's click on this age. It will give us 15 because we already have 15 over here, and it will understand it will return uint256, which means now uint itself versus and uint256 both are same, right? Even if I just write to uint256, this would be same, and even I also write this uint256, these both are same, right? So that's why it's giving us the same. Then if we click on this name, it will give us Ankush, because I already stored Ankush as a variable. Now when you click on this something, right, it will show us nothing. Look at this. We click on this, it will show us nothing, right? That's why this error is popping up, and the main reason why you will see this is not working, right? This timestamp and kind of stuff, because we don't provide its public parameter over here. Let's say you just provide a public over here, and the same, repeat the same line word over here, public. Just save that up, and again just delete from here, deploy this. That what is happening over here. Now we have this age which is 15, name, the sender. Now sender is essentially the sender which I added over here. Now this sender is essentially coming from the sender who sent this transaction, right? So if you look at this ending with ddc4, and if you look at over here, it's ending with ddc4, right? Which means the address who is the person who is deploying this contract, that address is coming over here, right? So there are a lot of type of these functions in Solidity. We can just use that. We can easily use that over here as well. Now something will return nothing. Then you have this timestamp. A timestamp will return the time, which is right over here. Now this time isn't in the IST or GMT, right? So you can convert that. There are a lot of converters online available. You can convert that from here as well. So yeah, that's essentially everything which we need to understand right over here. Now also, if you look at these global variables, right, now I define over here that these provide information about the blockchain, right? Even if you just go to, let's say, let's go to block explorer for your Ethereum. Let's go to etherscan.io. Right, so over here you will see, let's say, just open up any other transaction. Let's click on this, and you will see there's a timestamp prompt over here, right? This is a timestamp, right? And this is the block number, right? So that's how it's going to be providing us information about the blockchain, right, as per the definition. So yeah, so if you look at this, if we also have value, we also have from, and we also have this message.sender, means from where the who sent this transaction, right? So you will see the person who's sending this transaction is right over here. That's how everything is working yet so far. Cool. So in the next video we'll look into another thing.